If we think about all the changes that have taken place in this country, not only from a retirement standpoint, but just in general, I mean, 70 years is a blip in American history, certainly the world history, but all of the changes that have taken place. And then specifically, if you're thinking about what your parents did when they retired, it's a significant different experience. I mean, my grandpa retired in the mid-'80s and he had a pension, he had Social Security and a little bit of savings. And that's just not the environment that you are going to retire into. In the 50s, the average retirement age, or I guess not the average, the mean retirement age was 68.7, so almost age 69. So the mean was people were working almost up until age 70. Social Security eligibility didn't kick in until age 65. And then life expectancy was somewhere around age 78. So if you're thinking retirement around 69, average life expectancy around 78, maybe 9 to 10 years in retirement. And most of that retirement spending was not personally funded, meaning it was funded by a corporate or private pension, and it was funded by Social Security. So it's a significantly different landscape that retirees today are facing than what we saw in the 50s.
Yeah, so we're talking about the 1950s. We know that World War II had just ended. There was a baby boom. By the mid-1950s, some 4 million babies were being born every year. There was, of course, a golden age of capitalism. People were spending money. Consumerism was really on the rise. So it was just a different time. Also, we want to compare and contrast the 1950s with today. So you did a nice job talking about longevity, only living maybe 10 years in retirement. Now people live a lot longer in retirement.
People today expect to live 20 to maybe 30 years in retirement. And most of that retirement spending is going to be based on personal savings. And a lot of people even questioned whether or not Social Security was going to be there for the retirement. But now that you're on the doorsteps of retiring or already retired, you see that it is there. So that is a benefit. But many people don't have those pensions, like my grandpa did, to help fund that. And this is why the market that we see today weighs so heavily on the mind of retirees and pre-retirees. Because people who retired in the 50s or retired in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, they might have had a little money in the market, but probably not significant amounts at all. So if the market dropped by 30% in a year, yeah, it was probably interesting news, but it certainly did not impact their spendable income to support their lifestyle like it does for today's retirees.
And let's go back a little to Social Security in 1950 versus today. Back in 1950, it was more than half of retirement income.
Yeah, it certainly was. I mean, Social Security, the first legislation was introduced in 1935, so it was still a brand new program, and it really didn't start until 1940. So we're a decade into Social Security, and in that time frame, we had about 40 workers paying in for about every worker who was taking out. And in today's Social Security environment, for about every worker paying in, or for every 2 workers paying in, we have about 1 worker taking money out. So that ratio is significantly different, and therefore the ratio of which it's going to account for your spending income is significantly different. Now it represents somewhere around 30% of the average retiree's spendable income.
Yeah, the average Social Security benefits somewhere around $1,400 a month.
Yeah, the average Social Security payment today is somewhere around $1,500 a month. So if you think about it, not too many retirees today have a lifestyle of $1,400 to $1,500 a month, which is why we have to incorporate other resources to produce the retirement vision that most retirees today are looking for. The other beautiful part about Social Security is it's income for life. Meaning it's not market dependent. The income that you receive from Social Security is not going to decrease if the market drops by 40%. It's not going to increase if the market is up by 10%. So it's steady, it's predictable. You know every single month that it is going to be there. So if that predictable steady income represents a smaller portion of your overall retirement income, what that means is that now more of your retirement income is going to be variable if you don't incorporate some intentional income planning within your overall retirement strategy. Most retirees, what they really like is they like to know how much they can spend, when they're going to spend it, and when that income is going to come back, when their checking account is going to be replenished by additional income down the road. And Social Security is one of those sources that can do that. So one of the strategies that you can incorporate to help replenish or replace the amount of your lifestyle that Social Security is not going to fund, like the retirees of the 50s, is to create an income floor, where you take a piece of your investments that you've worked so hard to save and you turn that into predictable guaranteed income to help supplement the Social Security payments coming in. That's a strategy that provides a lot of comfort, a lot of confidence, a lot of certainty to retirees, especially as they're just transitioning from the working years where you know you have predictable income from your wages to the retirement years where there's a lot of question marks of where that income is going to come from.
And as we compare and contrast 1950 and 2020, I'm thinking about how much more complex retiring is today. I'm guessing in the 1950s, the job of a financial advisor or retirement planner was a lot different than it is today.
Yeah, in the 50s, there weren't a lot of retirement planners. Really in the 50s, and a lot of you probably remember this, there was a lot of stock brokers, right? So there was a stock broker. If you had a lot of discretionary income, you might call your stock broker and they might make a recommendation for you to buy a stock or to sell a stock. But from a planning standpoint, that was largely incumbent upon the retirees. But there wasn't all that much planning involved. You retire, you turn on your pension, of which they had very little pension options, right? You could take your annuity payment over the course of your life with maybe a survivorship benefit for your spouse, and you could turn on your Social Security. Today, with Social Security alone, you have up to 81 different options to select from. In the 50s, even the 60s, they didn't have all those many options with Social Security, so the complexity was a lot less. Now that might seem scary to those of you who are on the doorsteps of retirement. Now you have all this complexity, but you can use that complexity to your advantage. If you understand how these 81 different options can work to your benefit, now you can pick and choose which of those options are going to be best for you and really maximize or grow the amount that you can use from this Social Security bucket that you've been paying into over the course of your entire working career. Thank you for watching this clip of Retiring Today. If you have questions about your retirement, schedule a complimentary 15-minute retirement checkup phone call.